Your working position is like this. You hold your hands just above the surface, and as if, for instance, you are going to play piano. So the fingers are just above and slightly curled like this. So that's the first idea. The second thing is that you don't need a table necessarily to do digital math. All you need is a place to rest your hands. And what's important only is that you are able to tell whether a finger is touching the surface or not. Okay, so we'll start with the basic principle of how do we represent numbers on our hands. Well, first we'll start with our right hand, and a lot of what we will say for the right hand will apply to the left, and so later on when we come to deal with the left, we will know most of what applies to it. So first thing, how do we represent 1? Well, we place the index finger on the table, and that's 1. 2, we place 2 fingers, so the index and the middle finger, then 3, and then 4. Okay, so let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, one thing about digital math is that it's very visual, meaning that what you see is what you get. So for example, if I were to place 3, and if I say 3, I will actually see 3 fingers. So let's do that again. We'll count from 1 to 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, we would also need to do subtraction, so we would need to be able to count backwards. So if this is 4, then if I take away 1, now which finger do I take away? Well, you take away the little finger. So that's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now, I should mention that the representation of 1, for instance, is this index finger. This is not 1. Now, the middle finger is worth 1, but this is not the representation of 1. Similarly, this is not the representation of 1 either. This is 2. Only this is the representation of 2. For example, this is not 2. Okay, this would actually be what we call an invalid placement of the fingers. Okay, so let's go over that again. You add, or one way to remember it is to say you add from the index finger to the little finger. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we subtract in the opposite direction. So we add this way and we take away this way. So that's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now, even with just this small amount, we can actually do some basic arithmetic. Now, we would usually start with the very simplest problem, 1 plus 1. So 1, so we say we set 1. Now, when we place fingers on the surface, we say set, and when we remove them, we say clear. So that's 1 plus 1. Now, because the problems initially are very simple, avoid the temptation to do the problem in your head and then put the answer on your hand. What you want is to let your fingers work out the answer. Now, this is important because later on, when you can't work it out in your head, your fingers will work it out for you. Okay, so let the fingers do the calculations, and then you simply look at your fingers and say the answer. So let's do that again. 1 plus 1 minus 1. Answer is 1. How do we know that? We simply look at our hands and see the answer. What about something harder? 2 plus 2 minus 1. Again, 2 plus 2 minus 1. And you look at your hands and see that the answer is 3. What about 4 minus 2 plus 1 minus 2? Answer, 1. So again, let's do that a bit slowly. 4 minus 2 plus, or we can say minus 1 plus 3 minus 2 minus 1. Answer is 1. Okay, so the idea is that you simply use your fingers to add or subtract the right amount. Okay, we'll do one more example and I'll do it slowly. 2 plus 2, so I add another 2. Minus 1, so I take away 1. Minus 2 plus 1. The answer is 2. Okay, so even with just the basic 1 to 4, we can do some simple arithmetic. And I hope at this stage you can begin to see that it requires less effort of your brain. In other words, you have to think less. There is less mental effort in order to do the calculation. Okay, the next step now is to move on to 5. And this is the key difference between how we normally use our fingers to count. And that is that the thumb alone is worth 5. Okay, so if we had to count from 1 to 5, we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the thumb alone is worth 5. How do we go backwards from 5? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So we'll do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4. Okay, notice the movement. 5, 4, 5, 4. And after a little while, you'll get used to doing that, so it becomes a quite natural movement. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so what would be 6? So if the thumb alone is 5, what would be 6? Well, 5 plus 1. So the thumb and the index finger, that's the representation of 6. And then 7. Then we add another finger. 7, 8, 9. Okay, so notice we can count from 0 to 9 on our fingers. So let's do that one more time. We're going to count from 1 to 9 and then back to 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then backwards. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, now that we have 5, we can do even more arithmetic. Let's do a very simple one. Let's just do 3 plus 5. So we set 3, and we must add 5 to that. So what do? We simply place the thumb, because the thumb is worth 5. So 3 plus 5. Answer, 8. Now, one of the things you would have to learn, and you will learn this very quickly once you start working with your fingers, and that is what number is represented by what set of fingers. Now, for instance, you must be able to say, okay, that's 3, that's 2, that's 5, that's 6, that's 4, that's 7. So you must quickly be able to look at your hands and see what number is represented on it. Okay, so that's 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's do some more arithmetic. So 3 plus 5 minus 2. Okay, and then you simply look at your hands and you see that the answer is 6. Again, note that there is not much mental effort required. You don't have to remember the numbers in your head. Your hands will remember the numbers for you. So we can do a whole long chain of calculation and not have to worry that we will miss the answer. So let's do one of those. 3 plus 5 minus 2 plus 3 minus 1 minus 5 plus 1 minus 3 plus 5. Okay, and after all of that, our fingers will tell us the answer. The answer is 6. Now let's do another one. 6. So we place 6 plus 2 minus 1 plus 2 minus 5. Answer, 4. Again, when you're done, you look at your fingers and you read off the answer from them. Okay, one more. So let's say 8 minus 2 plus 1 minus 5. Now plus 6 if I have to add 6 here, after a while, we learn to drop 6 like this, 5 and 1. Or initially, if you want to do it in 2 steps, that's okay. So you can say 2 plus 6. So I can add a 5, and then I can add a 1. So that's 8 so far, minus 2 plus 3. Okay, suppose I had to minus 7 from this. Again, after a little while, you might be able to say minus 7 and do that. If you're having trouble, you can say minus 5 and then minus another 2. So the answer you have at this stage would be 2. So let's do that separately. 9 minus 7. So I minus 5 and minus 2. So we remain with 2. If I wanted to do 8 minus 6, I'll do 8 minus a 5 and minus a 1, and that will give me my 6. Again, initially do it in 2 steps if you can't sort of lift a 6 like this. So 8 minus 6. That's what you want to be able to do eventually. Okay, so far we have done some basic right-hand work. Now, it's not all that easy. So, for example, if I wanted to do 4 plus 4. Okay, now we have a problem because we don't have an easy 4 to add. So, but we have a 5 available. So what do you think we do? Well, we can add 5, no problem. But remember, 5 is too much because we wanted to add 4. So in order to add 4, if we added 5, we would then have to take away 1. Okay, so notice the answer is 8. So 4 plus 4. So we add 5 and take away 1. Again, after a little practice, this becomes you can get pretty fast with it. 4 plus 4. So the minute you hear 4, your hands automatically move. Similarly, 3 plus 4. 3 plus 4. Notice I add 5 and take away 1. Answer 7. 2 plus 4. Add 5, take away 1. Answer 6. Even 1 plus 4. Add 5, take away 1. Answer 5.